It's the first time we've done this as a part of the Level Up Power Platform community on Discord here, so feel free to give us some grace and scenarios. Oh, I probably need some more lighting. There we go. That's probably a little bit better, maybe. So my name is Daryl LaBar. I'm a 9-time MVP from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I am a creator of multiple tools in the XRM Toolbox. The ones that I will be showing today are the Early Bound Generator and the Visual Studio Solution Accelerator. I'm guessing most people haven't used the last one because it's not nearly as popular. But it's one I'll be showing today, and it's basically what I use whenever I walk into a new client as a consultant to get the solution set up for it. I also will be doing some unit testing using my XRM unit test framework, so those are the things that I will be going through today. So the other tools I will be using, besides the ones I just mentioned, I also be using my DLB XRM framework, which is on NuGet, open source, free for anyone to use. Same thing with the XRM unit test. And I'll use LinkPad for something just to make my life a little bit easier when I'm testing something. It's not crazy. There's no reason that you really need it. It's just I'm lazy and I don't want to. Creating GUID sometimes is hard, so I wrote a tool to do it for myself. And I don't know PowerShell, so I wrote it in LinkPad and have been using it for years since. So I probably need it updated. Maybe one of you can fix that for me and share it to me. So anyway, I can hear him, but I can't see him. No one can see me?
I can see you. Can everyone see the presentation and Daryl's video?
There's no audio either.
Okay, let me see if I can do something from my end.
People can't hear me. People can't see me. All right. Okay. So people have to quit Discord. All right.
I don't know what. I don't see any controls from my end that I can do anything.
Okay. Anything?
Yeah. So.
We don't have to hear anything. You can't see my presentation.
Optimal.
We are recording this, right?
We are. Yes, I'm recording this one.
Okay. So if we are recording, then I guess the only viable alternative is for them to look at the stream afterwards, because we don't want to waste anybody's time trying to troubleshoot individual technical issues.
No,
Sorry.
but then we need to make sure that everyone can at least see it.
Yeah.
So, Parvez, can you send a screenshot of what you see?
And I can see $2, then I can't hear him.
Okay. Is it because I'm streaming?
Do I need to become the speaker? I'm a speaker, so I should be good there.
Let me stop streaming. Let me see if that helps. Yeah, the screenshot that Ahmed posted is what you all should be able to see. It is exactly what we see. So maybe try to use the Discord app instead of web. We haven't tested this on web Discord, so try the app. So you can download it and then try to connect. But then we don't want to wait for everyone else to join using the Discord app. So Daryl, let's get started, and I am recording, so we can post this at later point of time.
Okay, so I don't have very many slides, but I'm going to be sharing my desktop the whole time. So for those of you that can't see anything, you may want to wait till afterwards, I guess. So I'll keep on going, and hopefully everyone that can get it to work can get to work. So anywho, so those are the tools I'll be using. I will kind of give you. Oop, did I think I opened up the wrong one. Let me see. Okay. Interesting. Apparently I didn't save. I did go through and kind of say what I did to set this up before time, but apparently I didn't save that in my PowerPoint. Interesting. Who cares? Basically, I was just going and calling out that all I've done prior to this is, besides setting up my connections in the XRM toolbox, and besides setting up a connection using the pack CLI, using an auth. I have auth set up for that. And that's really about the only thing I've done in order to get through doing that. So, so I'll start with this tool here that I use to kind of get started. So this is a tool I use to set up my Visual Studio environment. And there's a couple options here. There's the let's see, why is that not working? Let's see if Zoom is running. Are you running? There we go. Now it's running. Okay. So there's a couple options here. There's the add accelerator isolation libraries to your solution, add plugin workflow project to an accelerated solution, and install snippets. Ooh, that looks really pixelated, but hey, at least you can read it. So the very first one is when you're starting a brand new project. So if you're a consultant especially, or maybe if you haven't set this up in your current job, this adds in the projects that I usually add in and the way that I add in the projects and the references them all together and sets up your Visual Studio solution to be able to do plugin development. If you have already created a plugin and already added those solutions and you want to create another plugin project, then that's what the second step is for, add plugin workflow project to an accelerated solution. And then finally, the install snippets. This is if you have somebody on your team that's coming in. I do create some snippets that makes life a little bit easier when you're going through, especially in unit testing, but even for creating a plugin that I go through and set up for you. So you can just install those snippets if you want. And again, snippets are super easy. They are in just some files that sit in your My Documents folder for your particular Visual Studio solution that you're working with. So anyway, that's a quick little overview of kind of what this is. For this one, we are going to start from scratch, and we are going to add the libraries to a solution. Now, I could pick an existing solution, or I can say, no, I want to create a new one. So we'll go ahead and create a new one here. And let's see here. I think we was under temp. PPC is what I did before. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so here's something fun. I need a fictitious company name. Can someone in chat feel free to, or anyone in chat feel free to give some fictitious company names, and then I will pick one of those to go. Daryl Corp. All right, I need something maybe less about me, something funnier. It's a good start. Anybody else? Give about 10 more seconds, and I'll go with that one. Copilot Corp. Meow Inc. I like Meow Inc. Do Meow Inc. All right, Meow Inc. wins. Other thing we can think of while I'm going through here is if we have to figure out what plugin I'm actually going to create too, because I have one that I can go through and create. But if we want to create a different one, we can go through and create a different one. So just to say, hey, this isn't like all totally scripted. This is live. This is me just doing my thing. So yeah. So if there is a particular plugin that you can think about wanting us to create, one that would be something I could create in 20 minutes or so, it would probably involve having just out of the box accounts and contacts and stuff like that, because I'm dealing with a dev environment. So I don't have things installed for that. You what? What'd you say, Danish? Oh, we've paused to preview to see. Okay, cool. Did you say something? No? Okay, I'll keep going. Auto phone number, sure, that works. Something cat related, obviously. All right, so yeah, think of that. We just probably can't be creating a lot of extra tables or custom stuff like that, because that's going to just take a little more time. So, but anyway, Meow Inc. I like that. So now I say, hey, what do you want your namespace to be? We'll leave it with meowinc.dataverse. That's just my standard, but if you want to change that, you can. And then the next question, hey, do you want to use the early bound generator to generate early bound entities? Well, yeah, of course I do, because why wouldn't you, right? And then we do need a shared common assemblies. This is where any shared plugin-based classes would go. This is where our shared early bound entities will go. So, hey, what do we want this thing to be? And we say name that. Do we want to use XRM unit testing for testing? Yes, of course we do. And then there's a shared test project you need to create. So again, it asks for the name of that, and again, it's defaulting to whatever we put in here for the company name, meowinc.dataverse.test. So anyway, so yes, we want that. Yes, we do want to create a plugin project. We'll leave the name default here. We can include example plugin classes, but for now I'm going to turn those off. But if you did, that just brings in some example plugins that I've created, so you can see how maybe I utilize my plugin base class and my context and stuff like that. So you can just bring that in, have that locally for you. But it is available on a GitHub project as well. So if you just want to look at GitHub and not use a tool, you can do that as well. See xrm unit test.example project. So anyway, it's all there. So yes, so that's good there. And I apologize if my voice sounds kind of weird. Pretty sure I'm getting over COVID, so doing okay. So that's good. But anyway, okay. So what is the name? Meow Inc. is the name of the assembly we want to use. Description we want to add. This is what's actually being used when we go ahead and push our plugin assembly. So I'm going to create a shared plugin assembly rather than doing the older IL merging kind of stuff like that you shouldn't be doing, or shared projects that you shouldn't be, well, you can do, but isn't as nice. So this is using the newer methodology of doing that. And then we're going to pick a solution to push it into. I've already created a plugin solution, but this is what's going to use the publisher to figure out what the prefix should be. And then here we have an auth here. Funny, I thought I turned that off. Here we have author to go through and connect to it. So my auth name is Daryl Dev, but this is the PaxCLL auth name that I've set up beforehand, so you can set it up afterwards if you want. But it's what's going to be used to actually push the plugin for development stuff. So, okay, and then the name of the test project, meowinc dataverse.plugins.test. Normally I name my test projects, the name of the project I'm testing .tests, but if you have your own naming convention, you can do that. And then finally, do we want to create a workflow project? Hopefully not, but so I will say no, but maybe you do. And then we have do we want to install the code snippets? Yes. And then do we want to add the code generation files to your solution? So sometimes I forget what the snippets are, and I wrote them, so I add them to a folder in my solution. So I go, hey, what is the name of that snippet that I created? And so I add that to the solution so you can usually see that. And you can also use that to install the snippets yourself if you want to. So I'll leave this as yes. And then I will click finish. So just a little wizard. So now what's going through is it's going through installing the snippets. It's going to go through and attempt to publish a temporary plugin package to your environment, to go through and create a ID that then it will then add to the plugin project itself to be able to automatically get that syncing up and deployed correctly. And then it's also going to go through something that's newer. It's going to go through and it's going to open up the early bound generator and generate my entities for me. So I say okay, and notice that it's already put the in place, and it's created a settings file within my actual source control repository here. So everything under the Meow Inc. Dataverse should be something that's going to be source controlled eventually. So you want to be able to do that there, so you can share your settings. And all I need to do is click generate. So now it's just going to go out and generate, I guess, just 4 entities. So nothing special. All right, so that's done. Great. And everything else here is complete. So it's gone through and deployed everything. And also remind you, hey, make sure you've set up a dev deploy or a pack auth connection, and give you a link to go set that up if you need to do that as well. All right, so I've gone through and created everything. Let's go ahead and open up our solution. So our solution here is now Meow Inc. Dataverse.sln. So I will open that up. Hey. All right, so what do we generate? Well, we'll start at the top here. So here's the little snippets that I've added. Also this link pad GUID generator that I'll be using a little bit later. And then there's also some DLLs I use to auto increment the version number of your assembly. Maybe you've got some other way you'd like to do that, but I just bring those in for that. So that's what's in our code generation. And then Dataverse here, this is just a shared project basically that has plugin-based classes, extensions, anything you want to share between multiple plugin assemblies would go in here. It contains our early bound entities as well. Theoretically, this could be something that you would share for, let's say you wanted to create a Azure function and you want to be able to access some of your early bound classes and stuff. You might reference this as well. So, and then our plugin is completely empty, but we are using the SDK plugin project, so you can go ahead and see that. Some things of note in here is that we do have a couple of plugin packages that are references, including the build project in order to actually build the plugin project. And then also we have these deployment settings that are used to actually publish your plugin to your environment using this dev deploy option. And I'll show that later. We're actually ready to do that. So our plugin project is completely empty. We have a completely empty plugin test project, and then we have a shared test project as well. In here, if you ever actually did want to connect to your org to do testing, so this isn't necessarily unit testing, it's more integration testing. But if you did want to go through and do that, you just go in here and set up your connections, whatever you want them to be. You could save that into your source control repository. And then the first time you go through and start debugging or start running a unit test, it's going to go through and create a user version of this file that then you can enter in a password if you need to, or if you have any secrets or something you want to add, you can add that to later. And it already has created a ignore file or Git that will go through and ignore that user config, so it won't ever get checked in. So that's just keep you from doing stupid things. So anyway, so we've got this little framework set up. We've got our project set up. Everything's referenced correctly. Let's go ahead and create our very first plugin. Do we have any preferences on what it is? What plugin should we be creating? And feel free to put in the chat for anyone that has a suggestion. Let's see, there was one to format phone numbers. ASCII cat generation. So what's ASCII? So create an account and add a shared custom auto numbering. So con1 followed by con2. Okay. So that means when a contact or account is created, let's go ahead and add a prefix to the auto numbering that already exists. ASCII cat generation. Oh, I'm wondering what that one means too. All right, if we don't have any other examples, I'll go with one that I previously used, which is to go through and prevent duplicate email addresses across all the email address fields. Something that will, basically because you can't set up a duplicate detection rule to go against different fields. They only work on the same fields. So we'd go through and set up that way. Mask import for specific input. That might be a possibility. When a new contact is created, create 5 associated follow-up tasks. All right, we can go that one. That one's not bad. Kind of weird. So we have mask input by Dark Phoenix here. So we would force something to be in a particular input. It's a plugin, so it isn't very user-friendly. All the related records are created from my plugin. All the related records are created from my plugin. I think that's just a comment. Okay, and then Perez is saying, hey, when a new contact is created, create 5 associated follow-up tasks. I kind of like that one. Seems kind of simple. We can create different things for that. Let's go ahead and do that. So, so let's call this thing create tasks or contact. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and use the CRM plugin snippet because, again, I'm lazy. and create tasks for contact. Great. And import whatever it wants me to import. Great. That one shouldn't be removed. Cool. That's one thing I need to fix is it's putting source in there rather than this DLB at XRM. So previously, DLB at XRM, it still has a NuGet only or a source code only NuGet package. But with the advent of the plugin assemblies, shared plugin assemblies, we don't need to be doing source only packages. So I'm switching over to using DLLs for that rather than source only NuGet packages. So anyway, let us go through and see here. Okay, so we have our constructor. Great. We're passing in our unsecure. I'll zoom in so we can see a little bit because we don't need to be seeing all that stuff. Whoop. Oh, and then the other thing. Oh, we're fine. We're fine. And so, yeah, so the unsecured secure get passed in, which is great. Don't really need to be looking at constructors. Had the idea of registered events. It says, hey, when this happens, I want to run this code, or when it happens, I want to run this code, and you can run it differently for different entities and things like that. But for now, this is actually pre-operation of create. That's fine. Let's do it on post-operation. That makes a little more sense, I think, because we want to only create these tasks once the contact has been created. And we will need the ID for those tasks as well. So let's go ahead and do our first thing. So, so now we're post-operation create. If we want to, we could actually go through and say for entity of contact. And then we'll need we don't have tasks created. So let's go ahead through and generate for tasks. Task. All right. So this is just how you specify that you want to generate a different additional entity. So I'll run that. Yeah. Done. Cool. I always get confused with people that are like, it's so painful to regenerate your early bound entities. I'm like, really? I mean, that took literally 3 seconds. But anyway. Okay. So now we have to go through and create tasks. So we already know that we are in post operation, create the contacts. We just need to create our tasks. So let's see here. We are going to use the, we have options here. We can use the service, system organization service, which will run at like the highest level that you can grant it. And we'll run under that account. We probably just want to go run it as the organization, as the actual user that triggered the service. So when you create it, it will show you created these tasks as well. Okay, so new. Oh. Create new. Okay, so it already gave me some stuff here. Cool. Thank you, GitHub Copilot. Why does task not like task? Oh yeah, it's just not throwing task. There we go. All right, cool. So subject. All right, follow up with contact description. Great. Writing object is great. And I have a request to speak a little about create multiple and update multiple messages. And that's not something I'm going to cover right now. All right, so this is just good. Okay, so we need the actual. I'm going to get the contact out of the target. Not that I needed to do that, but hey, I'll just do it that way. All right, cool. Owner ID is going to be the initiating owner ID. I'm just going to do the owner of the actual contact. And I will do the initiating or initiating user ID. Reference, cool. And it will be a user. All right, cool. All right, so now I've gone up and that's the very first one and scheduled to end in 7 days. Great, so that's the very first task. Any other suggestions what our tasks could be? Follow up with the contact. Say date their mom. It's always good. Good way to get to know somebody. Any other suggestions? Adopt a cat. Yes, adopt a cat. All right. Well, adopt, right? Adopt. There we go. A cat. All right. Send them some spam and book an appointment with them. All right. Very friends. And I don't like having all this duplicate code, so let's fix that as well. Subject equals this. And description equals this. All right. Let's see, just a task. Yep. All right, cool. Now we can go through and pull that out. Purge, adopt a cat. Love it. And then we just need one more. So we need 5, right? Let's see if I saw email the contact. Art mail. Email. Email. All right. And then let's send spam. All right. All right, cool. All right, so we got 5 tests. So as our plugin, we don't want to deploy it first without testing it, right? So it looks good there. Let's go ahead and create our unit test for this. Let's create a new class. And this is the create tasks or contact tests. Right. And CRM MS test class. Cool. All right. I might need some of that later, so I'll leave that there. And then we have our, hey, let's go ahead and create our test method class. All right. This could be simplified easier, but I'd like to set up at least one test that I could run either locally or against the server. And that's what this whole test method class framework stuff does. So I've got online videos of how I do that and why I do that. I'm not going to cover it in this talk, but for now I'll just walk through real quick and set this test, because it's a fairly basic test here. So on contact create should create 5 tasks. Let's do that as our test, and then that's the name of our contact. Great, cool. All right, so we will need a contact, which is great. This is the one time where I bring up this little tool here to create my contact, but basically allows me to create these GUIDs that I can then reuse. And it's, here it goes. All right. All right, now, do I need to set anything up with the contact? I don't think I need to set any data up with the contact. So I will remove this whole pre-initialization stuff, and now we have the actual setup for the test. So CRM plugin test snippet. Cool. Plugin name was this thing. All right, cool. So this uses the first registered event of the plugin to go through and figure out, is it create, was it for this or for that? So it'll automatically kind of bring some of that stuff in and auto-populate for us, makes life a little bit simpler. And then we want to, I think we need to add in a couple other things as well. But let's just go ahead and run it and see what happens, I think. But at the end of it, oh yeah, and then we also need 5 tasks. Because, yeah. The reason I generate these GUIDs is I want to be able to clean up the test on the server. And so if we know what the actual tests are, then I can actually go through and do that. But if they are generated by random, then I won't be able to know if it... Oh, yes. One other thing here, let's make this life a little bit simpler here. There is a last name override. Task is super annoying because it always wants to be like a threading task. And so if you have any async stuff, it's kind of annoying. So I'm going to change this to be a Dataverse task. All right, and now I'm going to run that, and then that will go through and it'll go through and fix that to be something different. Entities need to be lowercase. Maybe needs to be lowercase. I've done this once before, and it worked great. Let's see. Doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we'll see. Ah, it did work. I just spelled it wrong. Oh, doesn't know how to do Dataverse. Interesting. All right, another fun thing for this, if you ever get something that's like verse is an actual word, so that's kind of weird. But you can say, hey, when we go through and generate our capitalization here, there is a override here. And actually, we want words. I don't know, Dataverse has a word. We need to do that. That's really what we should be doing. So there should be a custom dictionary. Case dictionary relative path. It's custom words. Animal case, custom words. Yeah, cool. This is what I want. All right. Dataverse. All right, so I'm going to make that an actual word, and then I should capitalize that correctly. I need to delete that because it's going to not overwrite the file. All right. Still doing it. All right. Let's go through and fix that. All right. Let's look at it to work. Dataverse. All right. Here we go. All right. I'm OCD. Sorry, guys. All right. So these are all now Dataverse tasks. Cool. And then our plugin needs to get fixed to Dataverse task. All right. Now we won't have any sort of weird naming issues with task and system threading and that kind of fun stuff. Anyway, all right. So back to the test. We are going to have these all set up to be used. By default, the test is set up to prevent you from creating new entities unless you actually know what they are. So we just need to update the service to allow for that. So service equals new origin service builder. In the XRM unit test, if you need like something created, there's usually a builder for it. And this is one we want with IDs default for create. Cool. And then I think there's an IDs here. These tasks. through it this way. All right. A, B, C. And again, this is just the XRM unit test sort of framework, but this is just saying, hey, when you need to create a new task, use this ID or use this ID. So it'll go through and utilize those IDs. So that way, when you run it against the server, it'll run your plugin code locally. Every single server call is going to be done to the server. So the crates will be done on the server. And before it actually does the crate, it's going to go in and inject in the correct ID that we're using here on the server. That way, if you run your test, you can then clean it up automatically just by having these IDs defined. So anyway, if you didn't understand what that was, don't worry about it unless you start using the XRM unit test library. But anyway, so I got that set up there. Great, we got our plugin, got our context and service provider. And then at the end here, we need to make sure that we have our services that exist here. So I will say equals the service.getEntity. And we don't even that. Oh, cool. All right, and then we can just assert that exists. But we probably need to do the names of it, don't we? You get just the ones we care about. Entities in. And we are going to go by the. Okay, so we are going to get the Dataverse tasks. We're going to get all of them that are. I'll name. All right, so the Dataverse task.fields.id. Yep. Cool. And then we need to add in all of our values you want to care about. IDs.task. Tasks. A. Entity ID. Cool. All right. So we want all 5 of those to be included in it. And the reason I'm specifically calling those out is because if we run against the server, it's going to grab any tasks that exist in the server. And we don't want those. We only want the ones that are in these list of ones here. All right. Okay. A, B, C, D, and E. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and run that right now just to verify that we're at least getting that. And then we can do some asserts after that. Translate the context name into Klingon into a new column. Wow. Whew, we're getting nerdy. We're getting nerdy. All right. Okay, let's go see what this is. Context is missing required target. So I didn't give it a target, so that's something that I messed up there. So we're create our target equals creating the new contact. Actually, we can use the actual ID itself. So let's add it. So this context builder, we add what we need. So with target, and we need the IDs dot contact. Cool. So that's that one. Let's go run it again. Normally, this is the way that I go through. I create a stab what the plugin should be, and then I go through and write the plugin test and figure out what I missed in the test. So, okay. All right, the object does not exist. So that was a mistake by my part because we actually did want to create the contact. Override. Public protected. It's protected. Initialize test data. Cool. All right. So in here, we just need to go through and create the contact. All right. The contact will exist prior to the plugin running. And the default is, all right, system user not found. That's another one where we need to actually set the user in there. So that's this thing, the initiating user ID. So with initiating user, and we are going to do the service dot get currently execute user info dot user ID. Cool. All right. So that will populate the initiating user ID. I'm just going through whatever errors I'm getting in here. And then activity with object name activity pointer is not found. Okay, so apparently I need to also create the activity pointer. These. Might need the activity party too, so I'll just grab those as well. All right, looks good. All right, so that actually went through and passed. And so we got all 5 of these entities. That's great. Our tasks equals. Let's do our asserts. It's true that we have a task that's single, right? The title, t.title, subject, subject equals. All right. So I am just going to copy these things. Oh, close. Close, all right. All right, I don't know if I'll be able to utilize that, but we'll see. All right, so I wanted to equal this thing, so yes, I can do this. All righty. That's right. All right, what is not like? Boolean. Oh. Exists. All right, cool. Let's see if that works. All right, let's run that. And everything looks great, then cool. All right. So all this worked. If I got all those things, everything looks great. Now, let's go ahead and push our plugin to our environment. So the way that I do that is I use the dev deploy build. Switch over to that. And I go ahead and my plugin and say, hey, let's go ahead and build this plugin. And way down here, it will go through and start doing the build, packaging everything up, packaging the correct assemblies up. So it's going to package the referencing, shared meow inc.dataverse plugin. And it's going to use my Daryl dev connection that it has and plug it and push it. And it's updating it. And again, this is not designed for you to push to prod. This is designed for you to push to your dev environment. Just make life a little bit simpler for you while you're going through and testing stuff. So it's still updating it. While that's happening, we can go and refresh our assemblies here. Cool. So finished, successful. Switch it off of debug instead. And then Meow Inc. Dataverse plugin. Now, I don't have a fancy way like Scott does to go through and automatically do this, but hey, you don't do this very often. So on the create of the contact, everything, we want this to be a post create. This is the one thing I've always kind of like messed around with. What do I actually want this name to be here? I've come to the conclusion I like having post and pre in here. Let's see here. It's a post operation. Cool. Create 5 tasks on contact creation. All right. Yes, let's create. This is really dumb. I hate that. I have to pick. Push the wrong one there. Okay, cool. All right, so that's there. Let's go ahead and test her out then. That's not the one I want. This is the one I want. All right. Okay. So I don't know. There it goes. Why did that take forever? All right, new contact. So let's just see task tester. Task tester. All right. Save. Serialization error. Woo! The lovely one. Let's see what we did wrong here. Great task for contact. Why is it not liking my serialization? It still inherits from entity, right? Yeah. Interesting. We'll go ahead and just do something that should work. To STK entity. So that's just a method that takes this and turns it into the late bound one. I'm not sure why that's doing at this point in time. So let's go ahead and redeploy that. That should work just fine and dandy. Yeah, the analogical name still task. All right. Okay, looks like it already deployed. Great, cool. Let's go and check. All right, cool. So all 5 tasks are all showing there and everything looks good. Oop, and I have an eat cake. Anything with chocolate and peanut butter. Must be some other thing I have set up to do stuff. Great. Great. Okay. All right. So that's what I wanted to accomplish. Not sure why the serialization failed there, but it does work. But so that's what I wanted to accomplish, be able to go through and generate everything from that. Is there anything we want to dive into more? Anything that we want to, any questions that we have they want to talk through? So we have our plugin, we've deployed it, we've tested it. We can test it again. We can see also that in our test environment here, it did create that user.config, and this is where you can put your own settings in, and that's the value that's actually used to figure out if it's going to hit the server or not. So if you configure this, and then you say, hey, use local CRM is false, then it's going to run your test against the actual server itself. Okay. Any questions? Apologize for apparently most of Europe that couldn't get the Discord stuff to work. Not sure what's up with that, but maybe we'll get that figured out next time we do one of these things. If you guys like these things, feel free to say you like them, and then we'll do some more in the future, I guess. See, Optimal is typing. Oh, should I use the base class? For the plugin base class, I'm guessing is what we're talking about. Okay, so in the base class, I create a plugin base class. Great. The only thing that I create the plugin base class for is so that we define the plugin context that we want to use for the generic plugin base. So this is your own base class, do whatever you want, inherits from this generic plugin base, which again is your own base class, do whatever you want. But then that inherits from the D to the B generic plugin base. And so this is where all my stuff is. For those of you that are interested in learning about IOC stuff for plugins. That's what I have this set up to do. This sets up dependency and version control stuff, so you can actually do dependency injection for your plugins. So first thing it does is it registers the services in the base class, which, where did that go? Why did that not take me to the actual method? Register services. So in here, it'll do some registration for some services on the actual IOC container. And then you can do whatever custom ones you'd like to do here under the register default services. So here, again, this is your base, your methods, your extension methods. You can register whatever services you want to add here. So if you have a custom thing you want to actually add, a custom interface you want to add, you can go ahead and register there and specify the class that's going to do it, and then you can inject that into your, or just it'll pull directly from that for you from the service provider. So the service provider will that you get in the plugin class will actually be this custom IOC container created one, so it'll actually utilize whatever you set up there. So anyway, so that's the register default. Anything else in the plugin base class? Not a whole lot there. But if you need to add anything, you can. The extended plugin context, again, this is your own base class, so you can do with it what you'd like. But it does expect there to be an iRegistered events plugin, and that's the whole registered events sort of thing that I showed before. So you don't have to use my base class for that, but you would if you wanted to utilize this method, I guess. And then the extended plugin base class is just going to do lots of just helpful methods here. So it does all the standard plugin context properties and the extended ones. These are all the ones that are a part of the actual plugin context already. But then we do a couple other things here, like tracing. Tracing is actually on the context itself. You don't need to pull out the iTracing service to do that. And then service provider, look at the service provider, which is nice too. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. That I hardly ever look at. Automatic tracing stuff too. So if we go look at the trace viewer. There we go, cool. So it did trace out everything that we created, which is great. When we had the error, it traced out the whole plugin context for us automatically. So that's all handled by the plugin base class sort of stuff. So starting the timer, then we have our exception and a stack trace, and then we have the context info. So you can go through and see, hey, what was actually created, what was actually done, and all that kind of fun stuff. So, yeah, all that stuff's provided out of the box in that plugin base class stuff. Powerthon XM appointment creator plugin. Must be one I did for previous presentation along those lines. Forgot about that one. Cool. All right, I'll have to unregister that once I get back to a more pristine environment. Anyway, anything else we want to look at? Not hopefully that solved any of your questions that you had. If you want example ones to look at, there is the how to properly share code between plugin projects. So I'm using the new plugin dependent assemblies project for plugins. So it automatically is going to create that NuGet package and publish it together. So you notice in here, plugin registration, I've got this package here. So it's going to add in the actual logic for us already. So anything that's in this Dataverse project here will be utilized on multiple projects. So if I go through and say, hey, I want to add another plugin. So say what solution I add it to. So I got to go find the solution. There it is. Great. Next. I want to create a plugin project. We'll call this the Meow. Okay, cool. So create a new project. And then again, I want to be in the plugin. And the Daryl dev is correct. Cool. And sure, let's create another plugin project for it. No workflow project. All right, so that should be done. Reload. Save. All right, so now I've got Meow Dataverse plugin, and it's going to be referencing the same project here in this shared project as this one. So, yeah, so whatever you want to put in here, and you can share amongst everything, that's fine. You can add references, NuGet package references as well to this plugin, and the whole build process from Microsoft will automatically handle that for you. So, yeah, it's been vastly simplified in recent years. Now, this is only for online. If you're on-prem, none of this stuff applies. You have to go back to an older version of the Visual Studio Accelerator. So, all right. If there are no other questions, so we're at the top of the hour, I will call it a day, but feel free to reach out and ask any of the questions later if you'd like. And hopefully those that weren't able to view it will be able to view it on the recording. That I will say goodbye, I guess, because I don't think Dinesh is on. Yep. So I will say goodbye, and I will hit the hang up button, and hopefully that will actually stop the recording. Oh no, Dinesh is on. So anyway, hopefully that works. All right, have a good one, everyone. Thank you.